and stop this police state in its tracks. And if you can't do that, then there's only one avenue left open to us. That's the avenue given to us by the Founding Fathers in the second article and amendment to the Constitution, through the force of arms. And I think that's where it's eventually going to end up anyway. I really do. I regret it. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want it. But the alternative is to become a slave in a socialist, one-world totalitarian government. And I'd rather do anything than that. Anything at all. So, folks, you better hang on. It's going to be a rough ride. Real rough ride. In fact, it's going to get rougher and rougher. It's going to get downright dangerous. A lot of people are going to get hurt before this is over. And it won't be our fault. The meaning of tonight's broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, was written by L. Neil Smith. And I want you to pay very close attention to it, because it's my sentiments exactly. And if I know anything about my audience, I think it's probably yours also. You may remember the way that at the start of Robert Heinlein's novel Methuselah's Children, a secret gathering of the exceptionally long-lived Howard families began with the hero Lazarus Long assuming the chairmanship on the grounds that he was the oldest individual present. Well, I've been an active libertarian for 36 years last month, which I suspect makes me the senior libertarian at this gathering, presumably full of mature wisdom. Not to mention a great many other things I'm sure that several of you are practically bursting to bring up. Mature wisdom. Heinlein also asked us in the notebooks of Lazarus Long, as I recall, if we'd ever noticed how often mature wisdom resembles just being too tired. Ayn Rand said something very like that too, and I certainly qualify on those grounds as well. You see, I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government that, in the name of making the world safer for democracy, took a young religious conscientious objector during World War I, kid who was willing to do everything the Army required of him, but wear a uniform and kill the people they'd picked out for him to kill. And they hung him by his shackled wrists in the deepest dungeon at Leavenworth, standing in a foot of icy water in the dead of Kansas winter. They let him die of pneumonia and then buried him in a uniform before his mother could arrive to claim his body. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government which at the end of a war widely advertised as having been fought to obliterate fascism forever, nevertheless agreed to round up 2 million Russian refugees in France and elsewhere in Europe at the end of that war, crowded them into boxcars exactly as Hitler had done to the Jews, and sent them back to Stalin who had them all shot to death within a few hours of their arrival. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government that smashed its way into the Utah homes of Mormon polygamists in the 1950s, people harming no one by practicing their First Amendment right to freedom of religion, sorted out the women and children and made them pose for humiliating photographs with numbered cards around their necks, while imprisoning their menfolk until they signed statements making bastards of their children. I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government that, sliming its way from one sleazy justification to another, every day for 51 days, confined, terrorized, tortured, poison-gassed, machine-gunned, and then incinerated 80 innocent individuals, 24 of them beautiful little children, in broad daylight, on national television, and not only got away with it, but prosecuted the survivors, and, when they were acquitted, sent them to prison anyway for what will likely be the rest of their lives. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of carrying around the knowledge that a crooked federal judge imprisoned that handful of innocent acquitted victims of state terrorism to keep the government from being put on trial in his courtroom. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of knowing that another crooked federal judge, in Idaho this time, deliberately set a killer loose to kill again for his vile masters, and that what he's expected to kill for them, fully as much as any innocent women or babies he happens to find in his high-powered rifle's crosshairs, are the very things every American would most like to believe about himself, his country, and his children's future. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of waking up in the middle of the night, or not being able to get to sleep at all, worried about a gang of masked thugs in black body armor smashing into my house, brutalizing my family, crushing my pets under their jackbooted feet, laughing and stealing anything they want, with no legal obligation to give it back ever, even when it turns out that we're all innocent, because they happen to disapprove of something I wrote or simply got the wrong address. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of having it back there all the time in the corner of my mind, whether I want it there or not, that I should really hide all the possessions I treasure most, possessions I like most to display in my home for everyone to see and enjoy, and even worse, to find some hole to bury my family and myself in order to survive another year or two in what was once the freest country in history and in the world. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of being considered some kind of criminal or dangerous throwback for no other reason than that I value, exercise, and defend my rights under the first 10 amendments to the Constitution for the United States of America. I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of being portrayed as a perverted monster for passing on to my daughters what my father passed on to me, the love of deeply blued steel and richly polished walnut, the smell of hops number 9, the proper way to align the sights, breathe correctly, squeeze, don't jerk that trigger, and hold solid as the sear breaks, the weapon bellows, and the delicious aroma of smokeless powder wafts back to you on the breeze. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of being treated as some kind of lunatic or villain, even by some members of my own family, even by some members of my own party and political movement, because I want All I want or ever wanted is to give people back control over their own lives and to live out my life in the land of liberty that I was promised as a child. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government that's supposed to be, above all, subject to 10 laws that were supposed to make all of these travesties and atrocities unthinkable and impossible. 10 laws that were supposed to shield me and my family from the kind of oppression my ancestors once fled from in Europe. 10 laws that were supposed to let me know where I stand and what the rules are. 10 laws that were supposed to let me and every other American think, say, do, and be whatever we wish, without filling out a single form or asking anyone's permission. I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of having to fight for my rights every day in a country where those rights were supposed to have been guaranteed. When what I want to be doing, what I ought to be doing, after 36 mind-numbing years, is enjoying my one true profession and my family. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living in a culture where the police are a greater danger to innocent civilians than they are to real criminals, many of whom give the police their orders, and where the military is a far greater threat to the people of America than it is to any enemy overseas. I'm tired. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living with a government that terrorizes, bullies, beats up, tortures, and kills more and more individuals every day, here and abroad, and does it in my name and at my involuntary expense. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of living in a culture where you're considered lucky if you're allowed to register your name and social security number, surrender your fingerprints, provide your photograph and the serial number of your weapon, visit a psychiatrist, endure endless hours of expensive, useless instruction at the feet of some mercantilist parasite who lobbied for the legislation in the first place, and finally pay a whopping fee in order to exercise a right with which you were born. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm even more tired of the dull-witted individuals and corrupt organizations who claim self-righteously to support and defend the Second Amendment, and at the same time give their wholehearted, enthusiastic support to such blatant abrogation of my unalienable rights. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of paying rent to the county on a home I bought and paid for. I'm tired of paying rent on my own life to the Internal Revenue Service and Social Security Administration. I'm tired of watching the government take a slice of everything I earn or possess, even though all they ever do is get in the way and make it more and more impossible to live every day. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of being lied to by government, by the media, and by every corporation I have anything to do with. I'm tired of always being on the losing side because I refuse to lie, I refuse to cheat, I refuse to steal. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of no one being considered a real-life hero unless they're forcing some poor, helpless, broken creature eke out another miserable moment of existence while those who help to make life possible for productive individuals are reviled as exploiters and profiteers. I'm tired of living in a police state. I'm tired of being considered property. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, when the government can tell you what drugs you can take, what drugs you can't take, and what drugs you must take, when the government can define the circumstances under which you may or may not obtain, own, or carry weapons, when the government can force you to surrender your children, the sweet hope of your heart, to indoctrination centers where they'll be transformed into your bitter political enemies, when the government can tell you that you have to sign up for military slavery, when the government can tell you that you must have that baby, those are assertions of a property right. See, the question is not whether or not abortion is right or wrong. The federal government has no business telling anyone how to handle that question either way. It's not in the Constitution for the United States of America. I'm tired of living in a police state. I am tired. And I'm tired of a world where being the property of the fascist dictatorship that America has become is the best thing that anyone can hope for. I'm tired of living in a police state. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired. I am very, very sick and tired of being tired. And stop this police state in its tracks. And if you can't do that, then there's only one avenue left open to us. That's the avenue given to us by the Founding Fathers in the second article and amendment to the Constitution, through the force of arms. And I think that's where it's eventually going to end up anyway. I really do. I regret it. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want it. But the alternative is to become